Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm here in the studio with Barbara Noss, Director of Education and Volunteers at the Cape Cod Museum of Natural History in Brewster. We're talking about the youth programs at the museum. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Let's start with an overview of the museum, where it is, what's there. It has outside trails and inside exhibits for people who've never been there. Can you talk to us a little bit about what is there at the museum?
Sure. We're located at 869 Main Street on 6A in Brewster, and we sit on 400 acres of conservation land. We pride ourselves on what you see outside, you can see inside, and what you see inside, you can see outside. So we have guided walks that go out to the beach and out to the flats and also over to the freshwater observation when the herring run. And we also have 2 floors of a museum. The lower level is the aquarium and the birds, and the upper level has a rotating exhibit. Right now it's Shark Science 2 and a tribute to our 60th anniversary. We have an archaeology display. We have a Wampanoag exhibit. We have the hay room, which has interactive activities for the children, and the film showing right now has to do with sharks, oysters, and our anniversary. We also have the Marsh View Room, which looks out over the marsh. It's a perfect bird watching space, and it also has a cam on the osprey that had 3 babies this year. So we have a live beehive observation hive inside and live hives outside that people can put the veils on and go see what's going on. It goes on and on. It's Cape Cod's nature place.
So much going on there. Now, what are the museum's hours? Is it open 7 days a week? What are the times when people can go there?
June, July, and August, we're open 9:30 to 4 every day. Going into September, we're open 11 to 3 every day. And then in October through the spring, we change our hours up and shorten our days, number of days that we're open, and then we close down for 8 weeks in the winter to change over the exhibits.
But what's great is people can go there virtually all year round, 4 seasons, it's a wonderful place to see how the different seasons look on Cape Cod. Now, of course, you talked about how it's a museum with these different exhibits. It's a nature center, but it's also a steward of conservation land. Is that right?
That's true.
How does that work? How is it a steward?
The trails are owned by the town of Brewster, and the museum takes care of that along with the town of Brewster. So we work together to keep it as a space that is wild and natural as best we can. When we do our programs that go out, like Mudflat Mania for families that go out to the flats, we don't pick anything off the trails. We look at it, we might examine it, but we put everything back and leave it. The only thing we pick up is litter. And we work hard to keep it the way that John Hay started it 60 years ago. We have a birthday party this year, and he and a group of founders got together and decided that this was something that they should share with the children. Started in the tent on the roadside, was in the Brewster Town Hall for a while. So it's been a collaboration with the town and the museum stewards to keep this as a place to learn about nature on Cape Cod.
And what's wonderful about those trails, and I've been on them myself, that you can walk all the way to the bay, if I recall correctly, and see some wonderful nature.
It's about 1.5 miles.
And it's a wonderful walk. And as you said, the museum's celebrating its 60th year this year, founded by John Hay and others who really care about the Cape's environment. Now, one of the big elements of the museum are its youth programs. Give us an overview of what the museum does for children.
Well, it started as a museum for children, and it's expanded a little bit so that it's education for children, families, adults, anybody that wants to come and learn about nature. But our children's programs seem to be the biggest draw. We have different events throughout the year that focus on the children's opportunity to learn about the science of nature. And the big one that we kick off with when we start our new year in March is the Science on the Street, where the different vendors come in and show off their exhibits and their experiments and let the kids do hands-on activities. We have a bird festival in September that is in collaboration with the Cape Cod Bird Club, and we have Family Day. We do all kinds of bird activities so that they can learn about the birds. And There's a kids summer camp program that goes for about 8 weeks in the summer. There are different activities and themes during school vacation. We have a big owl program. The Wolf is coming this week again to talk about the plight of wolves in the country. Everything that we do is geared toward giving children and their families an opportunity to learn everything that we can possibly offer them about nature on Cape Cod and how it impacts their lives and why it's important.
Now, we're just finishing with the kids program this year, but tell us a little bit about that program, because people need to plan in advance if they want to participate next summer. How does the kids program work? How do people sign up? What does it cost, et cetera?
The Kids Summer Program runs for 7 weeks, from starting the 4th of July week all the way to the 14th of August next year. It's set up for different classes that start with 3 and 4-year-olds and go all the way to 13 to 15-year-olds. There's a different opportunity depending on their age, and it's also a length of day, half day for the younger ones and a longer day for the older ones. It gives kids an opportunity to come in and walk the trails, go outside. We spend a lot of time outside, on both sides of 6A, learning about what's going on in the woods and at the beach and in the marsh, and what the marsh is, why that's important. They do different themes each week. There's a mammals week. There's a birds, butterflies, and bees week. There's a wet and wild week. There's 7 different weeks of that. And they come and basically they do indoor and outdoor activities. They use the museum as part of their learning, and they use the outdoors 90% of the time. You can sign up. If you're a member, you get a great deal in January. Otherwise, the regular registration opens February 1st, and we filled up probably by middle of June, several weeks before we actually started this summer. The cost depends on if you're a member, how many days a week you come, and which program you're in. We have a really, really strong scholarship program. We've been very fortunate. Our Taste for Nature fundraiser and our Fund a Need donation plan gives us an opportunity to fund scholarships, especially for local students that may not be able to do that otherwise. We do have some tourists that use it, but we like to have our locals come and join us, so we have a big scholarship push every year to gather money so that they can come and do that.
Now, how many kids can you accommodate with your program, with the camp?
About 500.
Okay. And as you said, it's somewhat competitive to get in terms of that you do fill up before it starts typically.
Yes, we do.
How many years has it been going?
About 20. No one knows for sure, but we think about 20. I've been there for 6 years, so before that, we know there was 10 years before that.
So it's a robust program that you've been fine-tuning, I'm sure, over the years, and so much going on there. I'm sure the kids love it.
We've been trying to connect it up with the STEAM initiative, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math, and that has been very popular and very well accepted by both the kids and the parents, so it's been lots of fun.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. We're talking with Barbara Noss about the kids' programs at the Museum of Natural History in Brewster. Another interesting program you folks have, and I think you said it's newly starting this year, is local educational outreach. Tell us about that.
Well, we've been very fortunate to be chosen as one of the Le Mans Seaside Race recipients this year, and they have given us funds for our educational outreach and our Kids Summer program. And so we have 2 programs that we would like to take into the schools. One of them is birding, and it's a 3-part in the classroom fall, winter, spring program that teaches the kids about bird watching, what makes a bird, why it's good to feed them in the winter and not in the summer, about watching the nests, about habitat, and about conservation. And that's been very popular in our pilot program. Then we also have 2 inflatable whales that the Belzekian Family Foundation was generous enough to provide for us, and we have them at the museum. And as well, we have the smaller humpback that we can take into the schools and do a lesson on the humpback humpback whales that swim on the coast of Massachusetts in the summer. The gray whale is something that we probably aren't going to cart around. It's 50 feet long and weighs about 400 pounds. But you can walk through it at the museum and learn about why the gray whale is basically extinct in the Atlantic Ocean, but it's alive and well in the Pacific Ocean. So it's all kinds of learning about protection, endangerment, extinction, and all of those things that not only are we concerned about with the whales, but about everything that has to do with nature in and around Cape Cod.
Now, what schools do you go in particularly, or does that do you sort of play that by ear as the year goes on?
We play that by ear. We see who's interested in doing it, and we did the pilot program at T-Ticket in Falmouth, and we're looking forward to hopefully bringing it into the Yarmouth School and back to the Falmouth schools. And other than that, we're wide open. So if someone's interested, they should give us a call.
Now, the pilot program, was that this past year? Was it the entire year, or just the spring?
It was just this spring.
And which classes in particular, which grades did you go into for that?
It was all third grade.
Okay.
It fits the Massachusetts frameworks for the third grade, and so we tried it there first.
What did you find that the kids were most interested in of that variety of things you bring to them, the birds and the whales and so on? What did they like best?
Well, they love anything hands-on, and both programs allow them to touch and participate and actively engage in the various activities. I'm not surprised that they love the whales. That didn't surprise me at all. But the birding and how interested and how knowledgeable they already are as 8-9-year-olds about birds on the Cape and about why they're important was fascinating to me.
Now, birding is such a big deal at the museum and such a passion for many people on Cape Cod. Tell us a little bit more about the birding exhibits at the museum. You have osprey nests. You said you have ospreys that people can see there and so forth. What else can people see at the museum? I know it's set up so there's a room people can actually observe bird feeders and write down different birds that they see. Fill us in on that.
The marsh view room looks out over the marsh, and the osprey nest is in the marsh, and you can see that up close on the camera, or you can get it on our website, and you can also use the binoculars and look out there, or you can take a walk and get pretty close to it. That's fascinating, and that's very active from March until September when the first birds come in, and then they have the babies that fly out at the very end. So that's been always a very popular exhibit. The rest of that area is basically looking out at our bird tables and the habitat that's right outside the window. The other thing that we have is down in the aquarium on the lower level, we have a collection of birds that was given to us about 25 years ago by the Stewart family, and it shows the birds in there. There's a mural in the back, and it goes from the woodlands all the way out to the open ocean and shows you which birds you would find in each space. And that's a fascinating exhibit because people haven't seen some of those birds up close because they're usually out on the ocean. So they're like to stand there and look at that. And we have one particular docent who's just a very, very enthusiastic chatter about the birds, very knowledgeable, and that's a big highlight.
And people can actually keep track of what birds they see at the museum, I think, right? And do you have a sense of the many different types of birds that have been seen there over the years and how many and so forth?
We do. We have an indoor spot for that, and we also have an outdoor spot that is new this year called a vitrine that has a log inside of it protected from the weather, and it talks about what you saw, when you saw it, what you thought it was, what was happening, and the same is true inside. How far the logs go back, I can't tell you.
And what types of birds do people typically see there other than the ospreys?
Oh, boy. Cardinals, the chickadee, the orioles, there's another one I'm not going to be able to tell you the name of, but it's got a black head and a red throat. This is not my particular skill, but we have several very active docents that bring you outside and inside to talk to you about birds. We do a Tuesday Tweets program and a Bird Watching for Beginners program, and we do those year-round. They're very popular for both youth groups and families in homeschool, and some of our field trips sign up to do Bird Watching for Beginners at the museum, and Gretchen takes them out and knows all of those birds. She also does a birding program during Kids Summer, and the kids find all kinds of fascinating things. We have owls we had a great horned owl that had a baby in one of the nests, and we had a snowy owl that came when there was all that snowy owl craze this fall.
Now, you mentioned you have some exhibits having to do with sharks, always a big level of interest for that on Cape Cod. Tell us what you have at the museum regarding sharks.
Right this minute, we're showing a shark film by Greg Scommel and the Discovery Channel in our John Hay room. We have one of our exhibit cases is set up that explains OSearch, which those boats were here a year ago off the coast looking for great whites. They've moved on to Brazil and Australia, but we still have their activity is showing in one of the cases. We have a case that is talks about the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy, which is Greg Scommel's fundraising arm and education arm, and they also sponsor the Gills Club, which is a girls' shark club that comes the fourth Saturday of every month during the school year, and talks about sharks. They bring in people, or they Skype people that are doing shark work, and it's an initiative to get girls interested in science. And then the other case is from Hui, and it has the shark cam that follows the shark out there on when Greg and Amy are out on the boat. And so those are the cases this year that talk about the sharks.
Another favorite for kids, I'm sure, are your exhibits about whales. Talk to us, you mentioned them briefly, and talk to us a little bit about what you have there, because it's very unique, I think.
Well, the two inflatable whales have a schedule, and they come and are in our auditorium. The humpback needs a reservation because it's small, and you go inside the whale to learn about the whale from the inside out. It's about a 20-minute lesson. So there's an exhibit that talks about the gray whale itself, about why it's extinct in the Atlantic, and then about whales in general and their protected status.
And how about in the fall? What are some of the activities going on in the fall? Because many people think the Cape shuts down, but actually there's still quite a lot going on, and the museum is one that does have programs through the fall. What do you have going on this fall?
Well, we have the Bird Festival on the 21st of September. We have Tom Burns talking about sharks on, I believe, the 20th of September. We have October is Archaeology Month, and so every weekend is packed with archaeology opportunities. We finish October with our Green Halloween, which is a safe, fun Halloween opportunity with the kids. And then in November, we're all turkeys. We have turkey talks, we have turkey movies, we have all kinds of turkey events leading up to Thanksgiving, and then we always finish with the owls. We have the Eyes on Owls with Marcia and Mark Wilson. It's always a very popular program that we finish with a Saturday after Thanksgiving. And then for the holidays, we have the Gills Club is big, and we finish the year with mini golf as part of school vacation. So you have one last chance. You can play golf through the museum inside and see the last of our exhibits before we change them out for the new year.
Thank you, Barbara, so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.